Well, this does not look good for Elder Scrolls 6 as the poop continues to roll downhill. Now, certainly, everyone is well apprised of the absolute debacle surrounding Fallout 76, and at minimum, okay, if you're a part of the 800 or 900,000 people who are playing Fallout 76 and enjoying it, again, please don't be offended. If you're enjoying a game that no one else is enjoying, who cares, right? Or somebody else isn't enjoying it, not nobody else. So Fallout fanboys, don't be offended. Enjoy your game, right? However, now because of the overwhelming, in my opinion, failure of Fallout 76, and certainly the stockholders in Bethesda will have expected significantly more than 800,000 concurrent players and full 75% discounts on the game within the first few months. What do they say? These chickens are going to come home to roost, so to speak. And what does that look like? Well, it means there's a lot more pressure on Bethesda to generate revenue in 2019. And how are they going to do it? Unfortunately for Elder Scrolls fans, it would appear they're going to force out Elder Scrolls 6 early to help offset these financial losses. More than one person has reported on when Bethesda first teased Elder Scrolls 6 during their E3 showcase last year, the studio was very clear that the highly anticipated next game in the Elder Scrolls franchise was years away from release. According to one analyst, however, it looks like the massive backlash following Fallout 76 may prompt the company to push forward those fantasy RPG plans at a much faster pace. So not only is Fallout 76 a complete bitter disappointment. By the way, I would have loved to play this game if there were some quests and NPCs and stories and voice actors, but it's just not my type of game. In the same way that bland open world games just in general are not my type of game, but this epitomizes the crabs in a bucket saying that I always have. When you see a fisherman on the shore and they have all these crabs in a bucket, the story goes, and there's no lids on them, and somebody asks, why aren't there lids on there? Well, it's because the other crabs in the bucket are always pulling down the crabs that are trying to escape. Well, in this case, in this metaphor, Fallout 76 is the trapped crab, and anything trying to outshine that absolute debacle is getting pulled down now and rushed out to try and please investors. The flop of Fallout 76 makes a hit more essential for Bethesda, and I expect them to accelerate development of ESV6, said esteemed analyst Michael Proctor during an interview with Game Industry. The flop, of course, being the decision to bring Fallout franchise online hasn't been well received as Bethesda would have liked. You know what's interesting is everybody told you this was going to happen. It's like you didn't even poll your fans. You had no idea what people liked and didn't like about Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 before releasing this game. This is a rod of your own making. This is absolute pure hubris. This is thinking you know better than everybody. This is you think you want it, but you don't level thought process. Despite Fallout 76 being exactly what was advertised since day one, bugs and all, the expectation failed to deliver. With Fallout and Elder Scrolls being two of the mainstay franchises of Bethesda, it would make sense for them to go full steam ahead regarding their other huge hit. Now that Skyrim is literally available on Alexa, it's time to see what other adventures in Tamriel wait. One important thing to note is that Patcher's prediction goes directly against everything the studio has said thus far, so take it for what it is. It's a personal prediction. To me, it's one that holds water, but it's one that I hope really doesn't come to fruition. He added, I really try hard to manage people's expectations. It's not like Fallout 76 this year, Starfield next year, and the Elder Scrolls 6 the year after. The timeline isn't any different. What's different is that they're trying to be transparent and say, don't freak out. The next thing we're doing is a single player in Starfield, and we're making Elder Scrolls 6. Many have speculated that the game will intentionally not release until the next generation arrives, with so many reports stating that the next PlayStation and Xbox will be announced this year. That 2019 release prediction might not be so far-fetched after all. What do you think? Well, there's other articles with other takes. The prediction was made by gaming analysts. Here, let's actually go to the source, even though this website is typically trash. Last year, I predicted 2018 will be another successful year for Nintendo. Bold statement. Largely correct with Nintendo's end of the year run. Microsoft will continue to struggle, and next-gen rumors emerge. Correct. VR and AR won't break through. Also correct. A lot of sequels and remasters will be out. Correct. Mobile will see further consolidation. Correct. So here is what his 2019 predictions are. Switch Pro and Lite. While 2019 Switch Pro has already been reported in development in the Wall Street Journal, I also think Nintendo will offer a Lite or keep the current version at a lower price to cover the lower end of the spectrum and offset sinking 3DS sales. That's frustrating. As a Switch owner myself, feels too soon. No PS5 or new Xbox launch. I predict no next-gen PlayStation or Xbox launches for 2019. However, Sony and Microsoft should officially reveal first details, including an increased focus on cloud and subscription models for their next consoles. No! This is going to go over like a lead balloon, but I entirely would support this prediction because greed. No breakthrough gaming for crypto, blockchain, VR, and AR. Facebook is writing the Oculus Quest for 2019. Several mobile AR, which is augmented reality. Games are coming in the next year. Sony will likely reduce the price and or introduce the new PSVR. Many startups are working on crypto and blockchain games. However, I predict none of these efforts. I agree on this. Again, I think VR is largely still a gimmick. Yeah, it's great for prawn. But outside of that, there's very few excellent VR games. And I learned this fact this year while researching why VR really hasn't taken off. And the fact of the matter is a lot of the games people like make people physically ill to play. Some numbers as high as 70%, where people just get motion sick because your brain can't translate that your body's not moving, and so everyone has to make these overhead type games and nobody wants to. So it's really still a long way from being something great. No real decent competitor for Steam. Again, this person says he's skeptical about Discord, Epic, and Tencent setting up games where Steam will likely continue to be the dominant PC games platform. I would entirely agree with this. I talked about this with the Epic Games launch. Look, all Steam has to do is match the percentages that Epic is, and that will take care of 50 or 60% of the reason for people leaving. Yes, there are other things that Epic can offer that Steam can't, and to a lesser extent, Discord. These, I think, are going to be great opportunities for indie games to get some exposure. However, AAA games or big titles, the 80-20, if you 80-20 it, 20% of the titles on Steam generate 80% of their revenue. That 20% probably isn't going anywhere. More China and Korea, power in Japan, certainly. Again, we talked about last year's report card. This year's predictions. We will get a major game announcements from Take-Two. I think we'll hear about a new BioShock game and a new title from Rockstar, both for 2020. It would be cheating to say that the company will announce Borderlands, since it probably will happen before the article is published. Ubisoft's lineup will include 4 AAA titles. I expect them to be Skull and Bones, Splinter Cell, Watch Dogs, and Rainbow Six. Activision will make Overwatch and Blackout free to play. I could see that absolutely happening. Respawn will launch 2 titles this year. Nintendo will launch a fully handheld version of the Switch at $199. I would probably own that as long as I can play the same games. My biggest complaint about the Switch, which is hilariously it's ridiculous, but it's just a little too big for when I'm trying to play on the road, or I'm trying to play in bed an hour before I'm going to sleep or something like that. It's an interesting thing, but here's the prediction we're talking about. Elder Scrolls 6 is coming in 2019. The flop of Fallout 76 makes a hit more essential for Bethesda. I expect them to accelerate development of ES6. This was my prediction from 2016 and 2017. So he hasn't been right on that particular run. However, I could see a lot of reasons for Bethesda continue to do for them to continue to do what they always do, and that is push games out regardless of when they're done or how many bugs they have. And this is bad news for Elder Scrolls fans. I would much rather wait another year to get a polished game that's 80-90% of the way there on launch, as opposed to just another terrible launch from Bethesda. I'm looking forward to hear what your predictions might be in 2019 and what you think about this particular one. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll talk to you again real soon.